I'm not giving you a single penny, Marcus said with a smug smile. No legal marriage means no shared assets. You should have thought about that before. I stood in the living room, no, his living room now, watching the man I had loved for 8 years tell me I was getting nothing. This was the same man who once promised that love was enough, that we didn't need a marriage certificate. My name is Alexandra. I'm 34, and my relationship was falling apart in the worst way possible. The truth hit me, Marcus had planned this from the start. He always said keeping our marriage unofficial would protect our love. But really, it was to protect him from ever having to share anything. You can't just throw me out, I said, keeping my voice steady. We built this life together. Marcus ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair, a move I used to find charming. Now it felt fake, just like him. Built it together. He laughed. I bought this house. I paid for everything. You were just along for the ride. Behind him, Veronica, his 25-year-old mistress, sat in his leather chair, smirking. She played with a strand of her platinum blonde hair, a diamond bracelet on her wrist catching the light. A bracelet I had helped pay for, without realizing it. You know that's not true, I said. My calmness made Marcus pause for just a second. I helped pay for this house. I have proof. Proof? He scoffed, but I saw the tension in his shoulders. Everything is in my name. You have nothing. I thought about the safe upstairs, the one Marcus thought held only his watches and passports. You're right about one thing, I said, turning toward the stairs. I should check what I have. Packing your things? Veronica called after me. Don't forget to leave the key. I ignored her and went upstairs. Behind a painting in our bedroom was the safe. Marcus had always laughed at my choice of artwork, calling it a waste of money. Now, as I moved the painting aside, I smiled. This wasn't just a safe, it was my backup plan. 6 months ago, I had found suspicious messages on Marcus's phone. That's when I had a second, hidden compartment installed. Marcus had no idea it existed. I heard footsteps behind me. Need help with the combination? Marcus asked, leaning against the doorframe. Or are you trying to steal my watches? You should check the safe yourself, I said, stepping aside. Rolling his eyes, Marcus walked over and entered the code, our anniversary date. The safe door swung open. His face changed immediately. Where are my watches? He demanded. Check the back, I said calmly. Marcus ran his hands inside the safe, finding the hidden panel. What is this? A second compartment, I explained. It needs a different code. Want to try? His face turned red. You had no right to do this. Actually, I said, I had every right. Just like I had the right to protect myself when I realized you planned to leave me with nothing. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone and played a recording, his voice talking to his lawyer about how to make sure I got nothing. The conversation was from 3 months ago, right around the time he started seeing Veronica. Marcus turned pale. You recorded me? I did a lot more than that, I said. Want to see what's in the second compartment? I think you'll find it interesting. Before he could answer, Veronica appeared at the door. What's taking so long? We have dinner reservations. I smiled. You might want to cancel. We have a lot to discuss about asset division and common law marriage laws in this state. Marcus's smug look faded. I could see the moment he realized he wasn't the only one who knew how to plan ahead. This is ridiculous, he snapped. You can't prove anything. Why don't you open the second compartment and find out? I said, leaning against the wall. The code is 071521, the day you met Veronica. I thought that was fitting. Marcus's hands shook slightly as he entered the combination. The hidden panel clicked open, revealing stacks of papers, USB drives, and a small laptop. What is all this? He asked, grabbing a file. Insurance, I said calmly. Proof of every deposit I made, every renovation I paid for, every piece of furniture I bought. But that's just the start. I opened a folder showing photos of Marcus and Veronica together, months before I was supposed to know about their affair. When someone moves money around suspiciously, a good investigator can find out a lot. Veronica stepped closer, trying to see the documents. That doesn't prove anything, she said. I smiled and pulled out another folder. Actually, it does. These bank statements show Marcus transferring money from our joint account to you, Veronica. The dates match your new car, designer clothes, and that bracelet on your wrist. Marcus lunged for the papers, but I stepped back. Careful. These are copies. The originals are with my lawyer. Your lawyer? He laughed, but I could hear the nervousness in his voice. Since when do you have a lawyer? Since I found your emails to your lawyer about hiding assets from me. I held up another document. You should really change your phone password more often. His face turned white. You had no right to look at my private messages. Just like you had no right to take money from our savings. I shot back, pulling out more statements. Or to use that money to take care of her. Veronica's smirk disappeared. Marcus, what is she talking about? I turned to her. He's been using our money to fund your relationship, and according to these documents, I paid for over 60% of our household expenses in the last 3 years, while Marcus spent on his business ventures. Marcus shook his head. That's not true. Everything's in my name. That doesn't matter, I said, opening my laptop. In this state, if a couple acts like they're married for long enough, the law treats them as married. And we did, for 8 years. I played video clips from holidays, family events, and business functions. In each one, Marcus introduced me as his wife. Every clip was dated and saved. But that's not even the worst part, I said, pulling out the last folder. Remember the business loan you took out last year? The one that needed a spouse's signature? Marcus went pale. You wouldn't. You forged my name, I said flatly. I have proof. The bank's fraud department was very interested in it. Veronica took a step back, eyes wide. You told me you were divorced, that everything was settled. I sighed. He lied to both of us. The difference is, I figured it out and prepared. Marcus leaned against the wall, his plan falling apart. What do you want? He asked weakly. Fairness. Half of what we built, the house, the savings, everything. If you fight me, I can take this to court. And we both know that won't end well for you. Veronica grabbed her purse. I can't believe this. You told me you were rich, that everything was yours. Veronica, wait, Marcus called as she rushed downstairs. I calmly put the files back into the safe. I'll have my lawyer prepare a fair settlement. I highly suggest you sign it. You planned all of this, Marcus accused. No, I said. I just learned from you. You taught me how to protect myself, keep evidence, and plan ahead. I guess I was a better student than you expected. Outside, Veronica's car roared to life and sped away. Marcus looked lost. His perfect plan to leave me with nothing had completely failed. I'll give you time to think about it, I said, closing the safe and putting the painting back. Oh, and don't bother trying to open the safe again. I already changed the combination. 3 months after the confrontation at the safe, I sat in my new apartment overlooking the city park, sipping coffee and reviewing the final settlement papers. Everything had worked out better than I'd expected, though not without some drama along the way. Marcus, predictably, had tried to fight back at first. He'd attempted to empty our remaining accounts the very next day, only to find I'd already frozen them with evidence of his previous unauthorized withdrawals. Then he tried claiming some of my evidence was obtained illegally, until my lawyer pointed out that all surveillance had been conducted in our shared home where I had legal residence. The turning point came when Veronica, furious about being deceived, contacted me with more evidence. Apparently, Marcus had written her several checks from his business account, listing them as consulting fees to hide our money from me. She'd kept copies of everything. I thought you should have these, she'd said during our coffee meeting. He played us both, just in different ways. The bank's fraud department was particularly interested in those documents along with the forged loan papers. Faced with potential criminal charges, Marcus finally gave in. My phone buzzed with a text from my lawyer. Settlement approved by the judge. Everything's official now. I smiled, remembering Marcus's words from that day. I'm not giving you a penny. In the end, he'd given me exactly what I deserved. Half of everything we'd built together. The house was being sold, with proceeds to be split equally. Our joint accounts were divided, and he had to repay every penny he'd given to Veronica from our money. My doorbell rang, interrupting my thoughts. It was Lisa, my best friend, holding a bottle of champagne. Ready to celebrate, she asked, grinning. The papers just came through, I confirmed, letting her in. I still can't believe you pulled this off, she said, setting down her bag. When you first told me Marcus was cheating, I was so worried he'd leave you with nothing. I led her to the kitchen, grabbing champagne flutes. I learned something important through all this, I said, watching her pop the cork. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about being prepared. And boy, were you prepared. Lisa laughed, pouring the champagne. The look on his face in the security footage when he tried to access the safe again was priceless. That had been an interesting day. The cameras I'd installed caught him attempting to break into the safe while I was out. The police had been very interested in that footage too. You know what the best part is? I said, taking my glass. I'm actually happier now. All those years, I was trying to make a marriage work with someone who saw me as disposable. Lisa raised her glass. To new beginnings? To new beginnings, I agreed. And to good lawyers, hidden safes, and karma. We settled on my new balcony, enjoying the spring breeze. Below, people walked their dogs and pushed strollers through the park. A completely different view from the suburban house I'd shared with Marcus. Have you heard what happened with his business? Lisa asked. I nodded. The bank audit triggered by the fraud investigation found some creative accounting. He's had to sell his share to his partners. Karma really is something, Lisa mused. And Veronica? Last I heard, she's dating one of the bank investigators, I said, unable to hold back a laugh. Apparently, they hit it off when she was providing evidence against Marcus. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the sea. I thought about how different my life was from what I'd imagined when Marcus first proposed our private ceremony 8 years ago. Back then, I thought love was enough. Now I knew better, trust had to be earned and protection had to be ensured. My phone buzzed again. An email from my new business partner. After the divorce settlement, I'd invested my share in a property development company. Turned out I had quite a talent for it, probably from all those years managing our household renovations. Speaking of new beginnings, I told Lisa, we just closed on that downtown project I told you about. The returns are looking even better than projected. Look at you, she said proudly, from almost losing everything to building your own empire. I shook my head. I never almost lost everything. Even when Marcus thought he had me cornered, I was always 2 steps ahead. That's the difference between us. He planned to tear someone down, while I planned to build myself up. As the sky darkened and city lights began twinkling, I felt a deep sense of peace. The safe upstairs in my old house had held more than just documents. It had contained my freedom, my future, and my power to choose my own path. Marcus had taught me one valuable lesson. Always keep evidence, always plan ahead, and never let anyone make you feel powerless. It wasn't the lesson he'd intended to teach, but it was one I'd never forget.